How hard is that, though, Mark, to go into a club, particularly mid-season? This is the Premier League we're talking about. This is Chelsea Football Club. It's one of the most watched on the entire planet. Everybody has an opinion. Anybody who's a fan of football, anybody who's watched Chelsea will have an opinion on a player, and a manager would be absolutely no different in that scenario. How hard is it to go in there and try to shed that predisposition to have an opinion on somebody and truly give them a clean slate, a fresh start, to impress the manager? I mean, you've done it. You've been in that position.
Yeah, you have to go in with a clear mind and give, if you can, players the opportunity. And let's make no bones about it, every player that we're talking about who's out of the frame under Frank, they're all good players. They've all got ability and potential to impact the first team. So, okay, when they go out of the team and it looks like there's no way back, then that resentment brews in the background. So clearly, when a new manager comes in, that feeling of resentment is dissipated to a certain extent, because then you've got to focus on, right, I've got to show this manager that I am worthy of being part of what's happening here. So you sense that's what Tuchel has done. He brought the likes of Rudiger back in, Alonso we've talked about as well. And these players are good players, been in and around the group for a long time and probably felt taken aback by their situation. But new managers come in, give them opportunity, and then you pass the responsibility over to the players, because it's up to them to perform when they get the opportunity. And fair play to them. They look a good group now. They look a group that's together, and a group that's, well, really approaching every game as they should. Whereas you could question Man City today, it would look to a low beat performance from them. But Chelsea, I've got a little bit of momentum at the moment.
When it comes to the new manager bounce, when does it stop becoming a new manager bounce and actually becomes being really good coaching? That's what it is, being a really good manager. Where do we draw the line here? Because it's 25 games now, I think, and 18 clean sheets. 18 for Thomas Tuchel since he took over at the Blues. That is a phenomenal record, Mark. So where do we draw the line here?
Yeah, let's put it clearly. It's not the new manager bounce now. Of course, he's been there to shape the team in his own image, and he's done it very, very quickly. I think next year certainly we'll see even more progress, and that for the likes of Man City, Man United ahead of Chelsea at the moment, that's a bit onerous because of the impact that he's had in such a short period of time. So next year will be very exciting for everybody connected with Chelsea, I think, because they've got a guy in number one position who obviously has had a good reaction, understands the game and how he wants his teams to play, and they're going along with that and being swept away with the momentum of it. So credit to them.
With Manchester City looking like the champions-elect, just 3 points shy of lifting the Premier League trophy for the third time in 4 seasons, or third time under Pep Guardiola, J-Mo. I mean, when it comes to Chelsea and how they've just completely turned around under Thomas Tuchel, how much does it look like it really was the right decision to let Frank Lampard go and to bring in Thomas Tuchel? Because they've now beaten Pep Guardiola's side in back-to-back matches.
They have, and they haven't won anything yet. So I suppose at the end of the season, we'll see whether it was the right decision to make those changes. And I have to go back, which I was saying to Mark before the show, that if you look at Frank Lampard this season, there was a spell, 10 games, 8 clean sheets, 2 goals conceded. This defence was already capable of keeping clean sheets. So it's not something that Thomas Tuchel has completely revolutionised. What he has done is consistently done it over a long period of time. And I think, again, I go back to the question that you asked Mark about when this, dare I say, honeymoon period finishes. I use Jurgen Klopp as an example. He came in, I think it was close outside of a transfer window, basically said to everybody, actually, forgive me, it was before a transfer window, the January one, and he didn't bring anyone in. And that gave confidence to the side to say, well, I've got an opportunity here. This Chelsea side, the likes of Alonso, the likes of Rudiger, which was a good point by Mark, these players have got an opportunity till the end of the season to say, we like what you're doing. We want to be part of it for next season, because next season, you would imagine, and I'd use Klopp again, there will be an opportunity for progression. Interesting, sorry, I love stats. Man City last season, 81 points. At the moment, they're sat on 80 points with 3 games to go. So again, even in City, champions elect, albeit, it's not like they've beaten last season's total by 20, 30 points, something astronomical. They're stuttering over the line again. So there's still improvement for City to be made. It has to, I would say, as well as they have played this season. There's been too many of these little hiccups. But if City wins a treble, then it doesn't matter what you do to get there. You've got 3 trophies. So like Thomas hasn't won anything. Man City have already got 1 in the bag. Probably going to have 2 by the end of the 3 games by United, I think it is, and the potential of having 3.
Jamie, just to pick up, though, you're comparing Frank Lampard's record with the clean sheets to what Thomas Tuchel has done. But Tuchel's beaten Simeone twice, kept the clean sheet against him both times. He's beaten Klopp.
I'm not saying that Frank is as good as Thomas Tuchel, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the comments are about how good their defence is. He already had this good defence. The issue has been scoring goals. And if you look at Chelsea's leading goal scorers, I think the leading goal scorer is 6. I'm not sure if today's game's changed it. In the Premier League, it's about 6 or 7 goals. I mean, they haven't got an out-and-out goal scorer in the Premier League, similar to Manchester City. And again, similar where the transition or dependency on a number 9, dare I say, that's kind of gone out of the window. They've become a much more fluid side. Either Pulisic or Werner doesn't have to score goals. They can assist like they did today. And again, this is something I think where Frank was, from an offensive point of view, was more dependent on the likes of Tammy Abraham to score goals in the Premier League, whereas Tuchel looks at it and says, look, our guys are quick, they're skillful, anyone can score, we don't care who it is. And Tuchel is obviously better than Frank, and I'm not saying he isn't, but the defensive issue or the defensive part of the argument, Chelsea had already proven under Frank that they could defend and keep clean sheets. So he's just added that another layer.
Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to separate the teams, the managers, which Frank Lampard was competing against, with all due respect to them, but when you're up against Simeone, it was Zidane, Pep Guardiola, it's a bit of a different ball game. I'm sure you know what I mean, Jamo.
Adam, listen, this Chelsea side are a great side when Frank had them. They didn't perform like a great side enough. Obviously, Frank went. Now you've got Tuchel making them perform like a great side. Any team would have gone in. Mark, you've been there as a player, you've been there as a manager. When that second penalty, the first penalty, the potential for a second goal, at the end of the season, you can have a change room that's just like, oh, it's not going our way. And the second half just runs its course and you end up losing the game. They played so much better in that second half. And as Tuchel said, the players wanted to win the game. Manchester City, it was almost like, all right, we've got 45 minutes, we're 1-0 up, keep it at this and we're champions. It just didn't, there was 2 different teams playing today and 2 different mentalities. So he has changed things in a positive way. And that's why, as you said, he can beat some of the best managers, if not all the best managers in Europe.
Yeah. And Mark, let's not forget, Chelsea have a history of sacking managers mid-season and getting to at least a Champions League final. Avram Grant, no experience whatsoever. Roberto Di Matteo went one step further and won the Champions League. Europa League was Rafa Benitez. Of course, he's a vastly experienced manager, but had a lot of friction with the Chelsea fans, to say the least. I think you remember that as well as I do. But, I mean, would Frank have gotten this far, do you feel, in all the competitions that are back in the top 4 as well in the Premier League, let's not forget?
Difficult to say. I think when a change is made, it's not just results, it's the trajectory of the club and what's happening behind the scenes that we're not privy to. So maybe it wouldn't have happened for Frank, unfortunately. And you have to say, Chelsea's policy has never changed in terms of their management structure. If the owner, Mr. Abramovich, decides that your time's up, then he'll pull the plug, and he's done it many occasions. Sometimes when you think it's really unfair on the guy that's losing his job, but more often than not, it has the desired reaction. And we mentioned 3 occasions there where they made those changes mid-season, and for the most part, with hindsight, you look back on it and you think, well, yeah, it was harsh at the time, but it was the correct decision for Chelsea Football Club. So it looks like they've done that again, because they're in great shape at the moment. Yeah,
not forgetting the impact which Gus Hiddink had as well with Chelsea. But can I also ask for you as a manager, let's say you are let go by a club and a new manager comes in and you see the same players that you were managing, just say the week before, the days before, suddenly offer more. How much does that frustrate you? How much does that annoy you as a person that was previously in charge of a club?
Well, I mean, you can't beat yourself up. You know what's going to happen. That's the way it is. That's what players are like. I was a player myself as well, so I probably was guilty of it as well. I mean, sometimes players don't realise that maybe that extra level that you need, you're not giving in their own mind. Or if the club's having a poor time, then sometimes you as a player think, well, I'm giving everything I've got. It's just not happening. But the change of manager sometimes is a catalyst for a little bit more effort, either consciously or subconsciously.